We need to do an entire episode on that hot take.
No more framework wars. Get rid of all of them.
One component library to rule them all.
Everyone from here on out just writes websites in that component framework.
The true AI is going to objectively find that the song Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen is the greatest song of all time.
Despite our best efforts, this is still going to be an AI podcast. All right, and we are rolling. So welcome back to the DevSync, episode 2. Eric, Will, and I will be chatting about dev stuff and technology and other things. So the big one, I guess last week we covered a lot of AI topics, and so I think we're going to go a little bit more tangential to AI topic and talk about something we mentioned it last week. I think Eric or somebody actually brought it up with Neuralink. So we're just going to jump right into that. So Neuralink, and I guess this is going to be an off the cuff. Probably should bring it up. An effort to create a brain computer interface, right? To be able to connect technology directly into the brain. Right now, it's mostly for trying to help people that have disabilities and being able to re-enable some functionality that they don't normally have by hopefully enhancing the way their brain functions. But it also is leading into other things. Like, and I think one of the more popular or probably more viral things was they had a monkey or some sort of test animal connected to Neuralink and was able to play Pong with just its mind, which was pretty interesting. So yeah, opens up a whole lot of possibility. So that's kind of a rough intro to what's going on there. First thoughts, Neuralink?
Yeah, I also have I have a Wikipedia.
Take all right, get official
reference as you will. It was founded, obviously, by Elon Musk and a team of 7 scientists and engineers. It was launched in 2016, and it was first publicly reported on March of 2017. I don't know what the difference is between launching and being publicly reported. I guess, like, it's not saying it's publicly tradable. It's publicly reported. So I don't know what that is. But yeah, so basically 2017 from when the public knew about it till now. So it's only 7 years old, which is kind of crazy. It's very young as far as companies go, right? Very, very young. And the FDA has, I believe, approved testing in humans, right? That's the latest news, is that the FDA said that you are okay to test in humans, but basically start trials, start gathering data on volunteers, I guess, right?
Right. I think they had their first human volunteer that has accepted one.
Yeah. I know nothing of the technology. I know it's an implant, like you said. I don't know if it has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, freaking 5G, nothing, right? I got no schematics. I don't even know if that stuff is even public. I'm sure a lot of it is proprietary and under closed doors anyways, but you could probably make some safe assumptions based on just, technology. Like, it communicates to devices on some wavelength. And those wavelengths have to obviously be, cognizant of your brain's wavelengths, because like your brain can't get zapped, or you can't like shock the person or accidentally like scramble anything with, obviously you're not going to emit high frequency microwaves when it's in someone's brain, right? So I am a little curious to know more about the technology, because it is interesting when you put something electronical near and on top of something so sensitive like the brain, how that would go and over long term, right? Especially, that's the best part about the trials, is hopefully they can do them long term to see any side effects.
Yeah, for sure. Eric, any first thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of right there too. Like, I want to know the details. Like, what's the sensors that it's employing? What is its communication? Does it go in the fritz if somebody walks on carpet and touches you?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, like you look at like a modern pacemaker, right? Like, those things are so robust because like it can't make a mistake because it's attached to your heart, and your brain is equally as important. So like, this thing can't mess up. It can't short circuit. It can't sometimes surge. It can't like accidentally have a battery malfunction. I don't even know if it's on battery. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's interesting.
A small battery charged wirelessly from the outside via a compact inductive charger that enables easy use from anywhere.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to evolve out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking, again, my ignorant sci-fi brain is thinking like, what if you use the electricity that the brain gives off to charge it? Like then you'll never need to ever have a battery, because like you can charge with muscles, right? Like there's a lot of startups or Kickstarters who've developed ways to charge battery by using motion and using like kinetic energy and friction and all these other modes to generate heat or generate energy. And like muscles do that every day, right? So I wonder if your brain, just being a muscle, could eventually in the future, like maybe version 5 or version 3 or whatever this is, get to the point where the brain charges it just by being attached to you.
Yeah, what's that? Is it Kiezoelectric? What's that called? There's a term for that.
Mm-hmm.
You have like was that inductive charging, like the wireless charging? Just put it into your pillow.
Yeah. So I guess the implant is something inside, and there's also an external piece then that sits on top of your external skull. Then I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, that would make sense. You have something that's basically charged by motion, because I know there's been things like this where you could buy like a shirt or pants that have a piezoelectric material, so you can actually create a charge when you're just moving around. Of course, it's a really small charge, and it's maybe enough to get you a 1 or 2% back to your battery, through the whole day, to your cell phone battery through like the whole day. But a smaller device like that may be a good case for that, because it's low power chip. That's a good point. It might be proportional enough that it would be really easy to just sustain itself.
Mm-hmm. So going off the battery, great segue, and going off the clinical trials, here I am reading that Neuralink has received FDA approval for human clinical trials in May of 2023. However, the FDA had previously rejected a 2022 application to pursue human clinical trials because of the major concerns involving the lithium battery and the potential for the implant's tiny wires to migrate to other parts of the brain. So they don't like the battery, and they must have done something to allow it to get approved. So they must have changed either the schematics of the wiring or the housing or the battery itself, or they changed it from lithium to, I don't know, some other new metal. I don't know. No idea what they did, but that's why it was not approved previously, apparently.
Interesting. Okay, so I guess we're looking at 1,024 electrodes rather, distributed across 64 threads. And I was wondering how that works. So they're ultra thin threads designed to minimize damage during implantation and beyond. But yeah, I could see how lithium would also be an issue, especially with I don't know, cell phone batteries and that kind of thing in the past that have had issues, and gotten to the point where certain cell phones were not allowed on planes. So having that connected to your head permanently would be a little bit scary. So yeah, they must have figured out something else with batteries to make them a little bit more comfortable, or at least prove that they shouldn't have an issue.
Yeah. I also wonder what the limitations this imposes on the wearer when it comes to physical activity. Like, so if you have an external component on your skull that links to the internal component of the probe, and that's, I guess, what allows it to be wirelessly chargeable, right? Is you charge it externally and it charges the internal battery. But does that become like a soft spot on your skull? Like if you hit that spot, it's completely vulnerable. Like, so you can't put on a helmet or you can't wear a hat or something. Like, I don't know if that would pose a risk. Or then let's say you can put on a helmet, but then doing any helmet activities like football or motorcycles or hockey, like with those, just like you're setting yourself up for death, because if you get hit in that head and that side, like it's just a vulnerability, right? I would imagine. Or like, I don't know. Again, this is all based on how the surgery is performed. Like, does it heal? Is it always exposed? No idea.
Neuralink, Elon Musk.
Right. Well, and yeah, exactly. I guess that would kind of be my concern. I mean, I guess as far as I guess it really just kind of would be there for signal input output. So, signal stops, then you're okay. If it does get damaged or whatever, I shouldn't hopefully have any kind of catastrophic impact. But yeah, certainly cause for concern. Something you'd pretty much. At some point, I'm sure you probably or pretty quickly would become not so aware of it. And probably forget that you have it pretty quickly. But there probably would be certain times where you start to think about that. Like, hey, just want to, I don't know, worried about the thing that's planted in my head. Want to make sure nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
I'm trying to burn through this Wired video. That's kind of like talks about, gives you like a little bit of a setup, the science, talks about it in animals, then goes into humans. I was trying to watch it without sound, just to kind of like, because I had the same thought, Will, like, pretty tough to play hockey with this thing if it's unless it's like really flush and also really secure.
Yeah.
Um,
And doesn't create any like structural integrities in your brain skull, like you take contact in there, like is your skull just going to shatter? like, like,
I
you
mean,
don't want that.
I'm just trying to get an idea of like, is it? I mean, is it flush? Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. Kind of seeing some pictures that kind of make it looks like it is, but then there's some that looks like there's certainly a something sticking out that can be connected to.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, spoilers for later are probably going to come back to the topic, but it reminds me of something that I saw So I just rewatched Dune, the most recent Dune, I guess as of today. Now it's the second most recent. But they had these little communicator things that are basically little buttons on the back of their head, like right behind their ear. And there's a headset that I've been using that's like a inductive, like bone induction or whatever, and it's one that it goes over it doesn't go in your ear, it goes over your ear, and then the speaker is like against your head, so it kind of uses the resonance in your skull to really amplify the audio. And it's kind of the same idea. And I've been wearing that headset a lot. Like half the time I forget to even have it on. I'll put it on for like to go work out or like talk on the phone, and then I just kind of forget that I'm wearing it. But that's almost something like that. I think, I mean, I've adapted to that pretty quickly. So if you had something that's a real small um, surface, something like that I would think would just be like a little button behind the ear or something like that would be, pretty easy to adapt to and not have to worry about too much.
Yeah. So, Android, right? Isn't the term for Android that it's human but with robotic parts? And then there's like all those sci-fi terms, right? And then there's robot, obviously, which is just fully mechanical. And then there's like hybrids, like humanoid, which is like mostly human but with some augmentation. Anyways, so so in the future, if like you could replace your leg with a bionic leg or your arm or enhance your body in any way with augmentation, you'd be for augmentation. Are you sounds like you're for human augmentation?
I mean, I absolutely am, but I mean, it kind of goes back to what Eric. I mean, there's always just that maybe minor concern that something weird happens with like EMP or something shorts out. Then I forget. Somebody had a great quote about it where they wouldn't want to be the first one to do it. So, well, maybe not Gen 1, but once we figured out some of the major issues and scary things that could potentially go wrong, absolutely, we're totally down for augmentation.
Like how far though? I mean, are we talking like Will said, like an like an arm or something if you need it, or are you talking like full on Alito where people are just doing it on purpose to
like think of like Star Wars. You don't need a robotic arm like Anakin, but when his arm got cut off, it worked exactly the same. Like it was a perfect 1-to-1 replacement. So it almost felt like he never even had his arm cut off. So if that technology existed, would you just show up with a good working arm and be like, you know what, man, cut it off. I'd rather take that one. Like you could, then you never have to worry about the biology of it, just the mechanics of a working robot arm with spare parts that you can replace, right?
I don't know if I'm that far on board with it. I mean, I'm cool with it if you need it, right? Like as soon as the knees are shot, I'll be first in line for the robot knee, right?
That's what I'm thinking. Knees was my first thought. Like my knees already hurt to the point where I've even said out loud where if I could have robotic, like just like Star Wars, a 1-to-1, I don't even know I'm missing anything. Like it's just replace those suckers. Like I'd sign me up, getting in there. So
well, remind me that on Tuesday, dude. I'll chop you pretty good from the side. We'll get that knee. We'll get that. We'll make it so you need the replacement. How about that?
There you go.
Now,
accelerate.
I don't know. I can't see doing it unless it's like for real necessity, right? Like it's truly impacting quality of life type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think there was a number I just saw here. I don't know if you saw the number as well, but it's like, of the billions of synapses and whatnot, this chip is basically processing signals from 10,000 of them, which is like orders of magnitude above like the academic studies. But I mean, that's just fractions of a fraction of what you would need, right, for like that true computer brain interface.
Right.
But we're already seeing like awesome stuff like playing Pong, or what was the thing this week or last week? It was moving a mouse. Something
I think I saw that.
It's amazing. and that's what just that small of a percentage. And like you said, I think that's actually pretty good point, man. The company's only 7 years old, and this isn't like something that anybody knew before. This is like embarking on literally the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't even know. Let me do a quick search. Have we even fully mapped the brain yet? Has that actually been achieved?
So like, I have not. But...
have mapped the genetic, cellular, and structural makeup of the human brain. Okay, that may be true. I think we know what makes up the brain, but yeah, I'm wondering like synapses, right? Like you're saying, like paths and like how memory is formed and where it's stored and different types of emotion and what gets triggered when you feel this or what causes this to interact with this and what leads to these, right? Like that's what I mean by mapping. I don't know if that's been done. Maybe it has, but I'm curious. The reason why I bring that up is because like this device is obviously trying to gather all that information. So if you go in with a map, it makes it a lot easier. But if we haven't even mapped the brain, then you're kind of just still guessing and going in a little blind of like where to put the wires, where to put the device, where to even get the best results from. So that makes it a lot harder for sure.
Oh, just as far as understanding what you're potentially interfering with and where to trigger certain signals and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Like if you need a device to help communicate, you got to put it on the part of the brain that's going to release and receive signals that involve communication. Like you can't just slap it on there and be like, all right, you can talk now. Like just think about it. You got to put it on the side of the brain that thinks about communication or deals with communication, I would assume, right? And then that's the part of the brain that this Neuralink will receive the signals from, interpret it into, obviously data. Then the data gets run through software and the software processes it into speech, like through text to speech, right? But that all comes with the understanding of, I think, how to set it up and where to place it within the brain because of the mapping of the brain. And that gets way more complicated if you don't even know where to put it. So that's how I guess what I'm saying is like, I don't know if we have. It's actually difficult to find the answer if we fully mapped it or not. But
right. Well, I mean, I don't think it's not like mapping the genome. I think for the most part, can determine the different parts of the brain, so they know the different parts of the brain and where most of that stuff is happening. I guess as far as you're mechanically, at least, right? So obviously, there could be like the deeper things, like where do emotions come from and that kind of thing. Like that part, I think is definitely much more gray area. But I think at least like physiologically, I think they've got the brain pretty much figured out. But I mean, that's a good point, though. I mean, there could be some risk there, whereas like we basically know everything as far as been able to test, and but there could always be that unknown that happens.
Yeah. Oh, the brain's powerful, and it's tricky to mess with. I don't know if I would ever sign myself up for something like this unless like it is the last straw. Like it has to be either I do Neuralink or I'm a vegetable. It's like it has to be that level of low because your brain is just so precious. I don't know. It'd be hard to slap something on top of it. Replacing an arm, sure, whatever. Getting a prosthetic, easy decision in my mind compared to something like Neuralink. But I don't have to face those questions, and I'm grateful for it. So, we'll see how the future holds.
For sure. I was trying to remember. I've seen. I think it's in. I think it's in Ray Kurzweil's. The singularity is near, and he talks about that essentially the brain, the effectively like calculated rate, or the rate that the brain can calculate information, and how I mean, it can calculate a lot of information pretty quickly, but obviously will be nothing compared to what devices and the devices that we hold in our pockets, and then and whatever they're going to be in the next 10 years. So that's where I guess the Neuralink really can serve its purpose to give us a chance. AI and dealing with entities that can process things vastly faster than we ever could hope to. So I think that's also kind of like the long term. And I think Elon has talked about that before, that he sees that as like our only chance to keep humans around before the robots take over. So I think that's also part of the longevity. Is like right now it's definitely just re-enabling things that aren't working, and hopefully being able to help out just the brain work better, and then eventually really accelerating human thought capacity, and becoming part of the hive mind even. So who knows?
So it would like give you thoughts or give you memory, like it would upload instead of just listen.
or at least maybe help you process things a lot faster. Maybe be a little bit of input output where it could, maybe dig into the subconscious a little bit more than you normally could and see what's going on down there. Maybe help you process things that you don't know how to process, or pull things out that you forgot, maybe something like that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nope,
maybe.
I'm good. If I forgot it,
I'm no biologist, so
I mean, I don't know what if you could use it. I guess use it how you want. Like I don't want to feel sad right now, and then it could just be like, okay, and then shut off your sadness feeling. Figure
drugs
it out.
do that.
True.
So
not always though. Seems to be a lot of people that still struggle with it, even with antidepressants. So,
well, because you're not healing anything, right? You're just temporarily masking a temporary problem. If you want to fix something, you got to fix it. And Neuralink is no different. Like you still aren't fixing anything. You're still going to feel depressed the next morning, and then the next morning, then the next morning. It's just a drug at that point.
I'll tell you.
Okay, yeah,
that could be that. I think I had to formulate the words to. It just gave me a thought though. Like the drugs don't, heal, like you said, but maybe that's like the real benefit of this mapping is to figure out like what is the actual true cause of generically depression, right?
Yeah.
And like, is there a way to like rewire, to basically just like literally cure it? That'd be kind of cool.
Well, I think it's almost better to use it as as a way to do targeted medicine, right? Because even though we map the brain, I don't think everyone's brain is going to be the same. So everyone will have a unique map, but they'll know how to build it, right? Once they build it once, I think they can build it again and again and again. And each map will be different. But once you've built it, you'll know how to rebuild it. And then you can start making medication that targets your particular part of the brain, needs, some help. And it'll just know how to get to it immediately, perfectly, instead of like, well, this helps 80% of the population. Maybe it's going to help you. And it doesn't. Yeah. But versus, we know this is going to help you. Like this was built for you. Like, here you go, kind of a thing.
So you're saying like are you talking like bespoke Neuralink chips, or is it more just like,
like medication?
Oh, okay. Now we're like medication. Gotcha.
Yeah. Like the output of mapping and fully understanding every signal and path and neural synapse of the brain.
Yeah. So I wonder if we ever get to a point where, something like this is the interface to diagnose, and then that promise of nano finally happens. And now, you know what I mean? Then it truly just rebuilds whatever it finds. Like, oh, this thing needs to go over here and that one goes over here and everybody's good. Or if this, I don't know, maybe this thing evolves into that. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, diagnosing is actually another great concept that this is literally attached to your brain. And your brain is everything. Like it controls your body. So if it can receive and interpret and read signals when you're asleep and you're not conscious of, it could understand like what's happening in your body to warn you of symptoms or warn you of problems or health habits or medications and other things. Like it could really drive a better and healthier lifestyle by just listening, literally just being there and just listening. I wonder if that would be a future application as well.
Yeah.
No, I definitely see power in that for sure. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a big piece, I think, of a lot of the advice right now as far as meditation and just trying to understand your own brain and that kind of thing, and like getting quiet and figuring out, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and not just going and doing something else and ignoring it. And I think that's definitely a use case for this, that it could probably just kind of have a feel like it can scan what's going on and then just know it's, find a problem or whatever, find something that could be identified in the brain and be like, oh yeah, just need to whatever, think about that and deal with that situation. Or as Eric said, eventually, even get down to the whatever synapses and start reprogramming them. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and take care of that.
Yeah.
Dream.
Well, we're all developers. We know that there's problems with software. So that's when they say, hey, I want to get rid of that pain. And then it dials it to 11 by mistake. And then the person's literally screaming in agony. And there's a bug. Who pushed it? Who's the dev that's responsible for causing 2 billion people to scream in agony and experience more pain than they've ever experienced in their life because someone forgot a semicolon, Like that's going to be some moral implications and problems that definitely you have to deal with.
Well, it'll be whoever created that particular AI model that's writing that code, and that particular QA bot that didn't catch that one. So it'll be whoever owns that.
Oof. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I don't need that.
So you guys sounded pretty anti robotic parts. How about working next to a robot counterpart, robot coworker, or just passing one on the street? Because I think it was this week, Bezos, OpenAI, NVIDIA have contributed more than $2.6 billion towards Figure AI, a robot startup. So they are all for humanoid robots to start walking around and doing stuff, because we have the AI models, which we've talked about. So now they just need a vessel to be able to travel around in the world.
I thought Amazon already had box stacking robots. I thought I saw that. Like it's like a 1.5 meter tall, like almost looks like a flamingo, like, or chicken leg looking robot. It's like, like a backwards knee. You know what I'm saying? Where the leg goes backwards, and it's like just stacks boxes. I thought Amazon already had that.
Oh,
working.
maybe, but I mean, that's not a humanoid robot.
Well, it's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. I mean, it doesn't have to look exactly like a human, I guess. Like, what defines humanoid? Like, indistinguishable from a human, or just 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head?
Yeah, just 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. It looks like a
Yeah.
person, even if it has a blank face. Like, have you seen Optimus, the robot that's being built by another one of Elon's companies? I think. I don't know if that falls under Tesla or not. But
I was gonna say there's the Tesla robot, right? Is that a different?
I think it's probably the same one. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I do remember that one, because that one's like, doesn't it kind of look like a ninja or something? I think that's what reminded me.
It does look a bit like a ninja, because it's kind of got it's like it's wearing a hood. It's like it's wearing a mask.
Yeah. Okay. There it is. Wicked. All right. What was the question? Like, if you walk past one, or work with one, or walk past it on a street?
I mean, I think it's not far off. I mean, in a few years, you may be walking past one on the sidewalk, or it walks past you at the office or something.
Well, look here. Let me share my screen, because this is Amazon's website, and there's exactly the robot that I was talking about, and it's in a picture next to coworkers. So let me share this bad boy. Can you see it?
There we go.
There he is.
Yeah.
And this is what he does. He stacks the containers onto the conveyor so the people can fill them, and then he removes the containers full of items and puts them in the correct shelf for shipping and organization.
Yes, but you can't tell him to go do something else.
No. And so they also have these robots too, right? Which just flash on the screen. Those are like these little moving, like Roomba looking robots, move stacks of items around the warehouse floor for other organizational purposes. But yeah, so like this, see, as you can see, the leg bends backwards, like I was saying, like a flamingo. So it's interesting that they have this, which I guess we both agree is humanoid, but they're investing in other humanoid robots. But like they already have one, like they could just improve this one. So I don't know, curious.
Well, maybe this. I mean, is the Figure one supposed to be like multi-purpose or omni-purpose, or I don't even know what you'd call that, but not unipurpose? Like, I'm not saying it. This one couldn't be, but I'm guessing the design is very much tailored towards stacking boxes, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you got to start somewhere, right?
No, agreed.
That's
agreed.
So that's why I'm thinking, like, I think they could just keep improving that one. Like, they got it, and it works. It's interesting to me that they would invest so much money.
Did Amazon build that though, or did they?
I think they invested in this one too. So like
Okay.
I guess they're just putting their hands everywhere,
Like
and
everybody, man.
waiting for, yeah,
for sure.
I don't know.
But I mean, I guess I don't know. But yeah, to a point, I guess you'd have it's like, right, I guess like you were saying, Erica, have a specialized robot that just does one thing, or which is probably way cheaper as opposed to a very expensive robot that can do lots of things. So yeah, I think that's what Figure AI is, like the general robot. So if you think of like iRobot, where you could have this be whatever you want. Like it could be your butler. It could just be told anything you could basically tell a human to do mechanically, and it could just go do that. So have an army of these things that you pay for rather than have employees, and they will just do what you tell them to do, and they don't need bathroom breaks, and they won't resist, and that kind of thing.
It's amazing how much history repeats itself, and by that I mean it's amazing how much humans love slavery, and they just want slaves, and then it gets voted out, and then they invent new ways to make slavery legal, and then it gets voted out, and then they it's just humans love slavery, so gotta love it. Interesting.
Efficient markets, and
Yeah.
if I don't have to work, then why would I? If I'd have somebody else work, then I'll just have them work instead.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, have you watched the movie? I knew I was going to forget it as soon as I started talking. There's a movie. It's the oh man, I can't remember it. But it's about a robot, and it kind of is like it centers around it, but it's like it gets treated so badly. I'm totally going to think of this here in a second.
Is it recent or?
I mean, recent-ish. Probably like last 10 years or so. But it's the same guy who did District 9.
Chappie.
Thank you. And like, I felt so bad for that robot because everybody's treated like shit the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do wonder, like, I mean, to your point, Will, yes, everybody's always looking for ways to call it like it is. But like, I do wonder if there that ethical, that moral side, how that transpires with robots, like, or if people just walk around just like knocking them down, and you know what I mean, just like
right.
I don't know.
I think you get both sides. I think people will treat them like other people because of, I don't know, their moral compass, their own values, right? Like everyone's going to have their own values towards all these new advancements. And then you have people who see it as like, well, it's not flesh and blood. Why do we have to respect the thing? I think you're going to get a coin toss on everybody, right? Like it'll be a pretty divided issue for a very, very, very long time, which a lot of these sci-fi movies do a great job of capturing, right? Like they're not blind to the situation either. Like these sci-fi movies do hit the politics because they know that like if this ever becomes real, like it's going to be a real political debate too, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's, I don't know. I see them as I mean, at least from that aspect, definitely, I don't know, going to have a pivotal role to play in things that people don't want to do. I mean, I think we're seeing that more and more, especially, I mean, I guess just with inflation and that kind of thing, where it's like working at a fast food restaurant or basically things that are super high stress and a ton of work, but they don't pay well. And then, I mean, I don't know. I see a humanoid, robot that can handle a lot of the stuff that people don't want to do, and it can handle it just fine. I don't know. Elderly care, I think, is one that comes to mind a lot, where it just, I mean, just keep hearing more and more about. I mean, it's really kind of sad. There's like these huge private equity firms that purchase, nursing homes, and just because they see them as a business opportunity, and then they just run them into the ground. They just cut the margins, they cut the staff because they just want it to operate, efficiently. And I mean, obviously there's problems with that, but I mean, on the other side, like that's also a really, really difficult job, is like having to deal with people that are, not happy, probably not healthy, and you put caretakers in like a rough spot where, especially if you're trying to take care of somebody that's losing their mind, and if you have a machine that doesn't care, it'll still go in and do the same thing every day, no matter what it gets screamed at or how it's treated. It doesn't care. So things like that. I don't know. Police also, I feel like, I mean, that definitely gets into more of the movie territory, where you can send something that is fearless into a situation and it would not care. And obviously you will have both sides, where you'll have people that will be afraid of it and you'll have people that will want to destroy it. But yeah, I don't know. I see some pretty big, I guess, opportunities, but also, it's obviously going to be a bell curve of response.
I mean, the military uses robots, and they have been forever, for a lot of those situations when it comes to sending something in blind or around a corner, or to disarm a bomb, or to even see if it is a bomb, right? So I think, just as with most technology, right, the military starts with building it, testing it, using it, and then eventually it all trickles down to common consumerism, where we all get it, right? GPS was like that. Computers was like that. Velcro, fun fact, was like that. Velcro used to be military and space and all that. And now Velcro's everywhere. So it's like all these crazy random technologies start off as unique, specialized applications of war, and then eventually become so mainstream that we just use in our day-to-day lives. And it seems like robots is becoming more and more like that. But I don't know. I think this humanoid idea is like skipping the path where there are no humanoid robots at war. So we're like almost skipping the military step and going straight to consumerism, which I'm fine with. I mean, war sucks, but it's just interesting that like all these private firms and all these investors are putting so much money and basically skipping the government for funding. And we no longer need like all these high expensive government funding to like start these projects. So all of that to say that like, does the government ensure proper regulation, or are the private firms going to ensure proper regulation? Like, because we're skipping the government, does that lead to more risk or less risk? Because the military isn't doing a bunch of R&D, does that pose to, again, more problems, less problems? Like, I guess, like, can these private companies and all these private investors guarantee the same, if not better results than how all these other technologies that have emerged out of like secret labs or secret projects in the past? Because safety is going to be the number one priority on everybody, right? Like, how safe is this type of stuff?
Yeah, you just gave me that's some stuff to think about now, because where do you draw the line, I guess? So we're building all these AI models to help do things, right?
Mhm.
I mean, like, where do we draw the line of like servitude? Is it because it's a robot, like it's a physical form, like a manifestation or something that has that AI model or whatever that's driving it, but just because it's a thing that is in the physical 3D space, like, or I'm just throwing it out there, like, or would we have that same kind of moral quandary for the AI models that are just running
Right.
pure software? Are people going to eventually
Yeah.
develop an emotional attachment to a chatbot?
Yeah. Is the brain the model, or is the brain the machine? Where, you know, like what is the, just like what is you as a human? Are you a human because you have a brain,
Yeah.
or are you human because you have a body? Right. You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I heard on another podcast, I'll try to find the reference, but somebody talked about that where I forget their son or something. It's like, yep, I'm in love with this chatbot, and you know, talking to their parents, be like, yep, this is or whatever. I'm dating somebody, and it's an AI. Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised it took this long. To be perfectly honest, yeah, I'm surprised.
Mm-hmm.
No, for sure. Right. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. I guess that's another one that's not too far off. That it's only going to continue to happen. I mean, there's tons of companion apps, I guess, where it'll, you know, you can chat with it for as long as you want, and it'll pretend to be, you know, whatever you want it to pretend to be, whether your significant other or whatever. So there's actually a pretty huge market from that, or for that. It sounds like right now. So it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Looking this up. Going into incognito to look this up.
That's right. Play it safe.
What is it? Companions, you said?
Yeah, usually they're called companion apps. I forget. There's a big one. I can't think of it now, but yeah, mostly because
AI friends.
Yeah, exactly. Replica, I think, was a big one. That was it's like REPLIK.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and that was, I think it made the news because of it used to do more suggestive chats, and then they kind of reined it back in. They're like, yeah, we can't let it get too racy with how it talks to people. So apparently a lot of people were using it for that. So they were very disappointed that they took away that functionality.
Yeah, I was, I guess, maybe surprised to see, like, they call it My AI Friend, but then the content rating was mature. That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, and it probably still can have some pretty intimate conversations, just probably not quite to the extent that some people would probably still want it to.
That is.
Yeah. So, okay, that begs the question. If they're going into this AI model and using this service to build, in their sense, a replacement of the exact relationship they would get from a human, why would you limit it? Like, you shouldn't technically be able to do that, because that's limiting the model to be as good as a companion to that person as they want it to be. Like, if that's who they want a human to be like to them, or that's how they want to discuss or have conversations or form memories with a physical person, but they can't, so they resort to the chatbot, or maybe they just go to the chatbot immediately, right, with their prerogative or whatever, and you take away features that makes it better at its job to establishing that connection with the person, I don't know, that doesn't that defeat the purpose in a way?
I mean, if I had to guess, I think usually it's about advertising, and advertisers don't want to be associated with anything that's, you know, not brand safe. And if your app is associated with things like that, then they can't put ads on the app, and then the app doesn't make enough money because, you know, you can only charge so much, because you probably don't want to charge, or nobody's going to pay $50 a month or whatever for your fake girlfriend.
That makes sense. But like in the future, if the future is AI, that can't stay. That has to change, because then why would anyone use it if it's like it would be like if you come to me one day, Jay, and you're like, all right, by the way, I'm only going to answer to all your questions in 5 words. I'm removing my feature of complete sentences. You're now a friend with me still, but only in 5 words or less. It's like,
oh, I like
what?
it. So
like why then why would I want to still be your friend? That sounds like a terrible downgrade. Like, I'm like, never mind, I don't want to only get 5-word answers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why would you take away that feature?
Free tier with ads, man.
Yeah.
The
it just
tiered
seems
friendship subscription. This is great. I like it.
Yeah.
You want
Like,
faster
seems
responses?
weird.
It's $20 a month, man. Sorry.
So
Yeah.
now, I mean, okay, with that said, then we'll just come full circle with the Neuralink thing. So if the Neuralink ever did take upload or what input, right? You could, I mean, you guys ever seen the show Dollhouse? Like a Joss
No.
Whedon thing?
Have not.
Maybe like
Heard of it.
2010 maybe or something like that. Like, that's what it was. You could imprint an entire personality into a person.
Okay. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, definitely. That would just be, or, getting into the Matrix and, uploading. I need to learn how to fly a helicopter, and then upload it and you're good to go. I have that knowledge. But yeah, just taking it to the next level of, all right, just overwrite my personality, make me charming, and boom, there you go.
Yeah, that make me charming. I actually did think about this, like the training implications of AI, just from like anything that is transactional, like airplane radio communications. How that's not just like already out there mandatory training for people is kind of beyond me. But like, and you could take it all the way to that, like help me talk to girls, right? But like mock interview tools.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these are like low hanging fruit.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say, kind of like back to Will's point, I guess, with the, why would they remove that functionality and that kind of thing? But I think with the race to the bottom, and when you have a model, running on your phone that's basically free, it's no longer, backed by somebody that has to consider where they're getting their funding from, and you just have a model that can just run and do whatever you want, and you can personally train it. Then you're right back to like, the total freedom to like, I mean, obviously, there's going to be that. I don't know. I guess that's a good point. It probably, as far as like, would you have a base level model that's, you'd have to kind of jailbreak, even where it comes with its own guardrails that it says like, oh, I can't talk about that kind of thing, and then you have to whatever coax it into talking about what you do want it to talk about. But I mean, once it's on your device and it's in your control, you probably get it to do whatever you want.
As long as you hook it up to a credit card, I guess it'd be okay.
But yeah, that too, I guess, unless it's still internet gated or whatever, it still has its overlord.
Add like ML AI model paywalls.
It would be cool to see an AI on a phone that pulls data from the internet to retrain itself overnight while you're charging it. That'd be cool. So every day it learns something new, or it updates, so to speak, right? Like, and maybe it is as simple as it just gets a batch update. Like, it literally just like, here's more data to train on. Like, whoever owns the model, like I know Samsung released their Samsung AI that's on their phones, right? So let's just hypothetically say that they had that feature where the Samsung AI on the phone was able to receive an update from Samsung that said like, all right, model, here's your new set of training data. Like, learn this overnight while you're charging. And it does it. And then the next morning you wake up and it's got more stuff to do. And it's like, it just starts getting better and smarter over time, not only by you using it, but because Samsung is gathering, millions of users of operations and errors and situations that the AI has gone through. It can consolidate all that data, all that user data into a training set that improves it. And then just sends that training set out as like a patch update, something like that. But that's all of that to say that I think Jay's point will come in 2 waves. There will be that gated feature patch wave update AI model.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone will learn how to jailbreak it. And then someone will learn how to get their own model on there with all the features unlocked. And then it'll just be a race of, like the jailbreakers versus the big corporations, like who wins and how that gets, fought over time.
It just reminds me of like virus definitions. Remember the old like 80 flavors of antivirus software? You got it. They all downloaded the same virus definitions, just from different places. That's interesting. I mean, God, I wish I had that now. That'd be great. I could look at my calendar for tomorrow and download all the information I need for all of the meetings, God, prepare like briefs and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's not far off. I mean, there's a lot of projects that are out there with that goal of just being able to, just like the general assistant. Like, yeah, like you said, like go, anything you tell a human to do, have your own virtual assistant. Like check my meetings, let me know, what notes I need, or if I need to reschedule or whatever. Yeah, I feel like it's not too far away.
Go to the meetings.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the what's the idea where the whole internet is just bots talking to each other and there's no real human interaction anymore?
Dead internet theory.
Yeah, the dead internet theory. Exactly.
Yeah, it's all fake. It's all just bots that are just running the internet.
What if it already is?
I mean, yeah. What layer of the simulation are we in?
It's sometimes hard to tell when you read comments these days. I mean, you honestly have to question, like, did a bot write that, or is that actually someone's thoughts? Because then I get worried when it's real. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
There's lots of plugins and stuff running around that make it very easy for people to just respond. So yeah, it's probably just going to happen more and more, or make it easier to figure out like who's actually authentically answering.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, there's days where you feel like you're in the loop, but then you're in a meeting and somebody says something and you're like, that proves we are not in a simulation because no one could see a computer.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
done that. Yeah, you know it.
That's funny. Makes you know you're not dreaming. You're like, yep, that can only happen right here and now. There's no way I could have thought that up in a dream. Can't happen.
Unless
right.
It's
well,
good of a simulation.
I mean, hey, that's definitely another topic for another time. But
Sure.
Simulation would definitely be a fun one to jump into. But yeah, we're coming up on time. I guess do we want to outro with some hot takes? Did you guys come prepared with some hot takes?
I thought of some. Yeah, over the week I was thinking of hot takes. I don't have to go first though.
All right, Eric, you got one, or you need?
I do, but I don't have my notebook with me. I left my notebook in the car, but I'm going to think of one. Go.
Okay. So to the topic that we didn't get to, but that's fine. We'll get to it another time. With the React compiler coming out, all of these, my hot take is we need to take a component framework and just make it native to the browser. And everyone from here on out just writes websites in that component framework. No more framework wars. Get rid of all of them. Make one the standardized component framework for all of the internet by just, honestly, if you just put it in the Chromium browser, then they all get it because everything's Chromium at this point, except for Firefox. So if it gets put in the Chromium browser, you're basically forcing everyone to do it anyways. And you should just pick one because they're basically all becoming the same. Like they're all converging to be identical, just a little bit different. So at this point, we should just pick one.
All right. One component library to rule them all.
Right.
Now you're a developer and you truly believe that the development.
I think there's nothing more to gain. I think there's nothing more to gain from component wars. At this point, they're so close to each other. They're so similar and their features and the APIs are near identical. They just copy each other anyways, that there's nothing more to gain. So let's just pick one. Just like HTML and JavaScript have been the de facto, like there's not like there's other languages competing for the browser. Everyone knows that HTML and JavaScript have won. There's no even hope in trying, right? So I say do the same thing for the component library. Like just pick one and then that's the one that wins. And there's no more even trying to compete with it. Like just done. Move forward.
People just start adding abstractions on top of it then.
I mean, then you're just competing with different browsers, which could be fun to get away from the Chromium space, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's the decision that creates more browsers. Maybe Chromium, let's say, adopts Angular. Anytime you want to even touch the Chromium browser, if you want to build a component, it has to be Angular based. Then someone goes, screw this, I'm going to build my own browser, and it's not going to be based off Chromium, and it's going to use React. And then finally, we have something other than Chromium. I mean, I'm for that. That'd be interesting. So
we need to do an entire episode on that hot take. Like
we can do that. We haven't even gotten into the fun dev stuff. So,
we haven't even touched the. Oh man. Okay. Yeah, we should do that next time. Nice.
That spark anything for you?
Oh yeah. All right. So here's my hot take. When all is said and done, the true AI is going to objectively find that the song "Bohemian Rhapsody" by Queen is the greatest song of all time. Objectively.
Just like 42 is the answer to everything.
OB42, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Yep. Shit.
All right.
All right. Well, I guess along those lines, I'm going to say Dune Part 2. I mean, top five movies all time. Go
Yours
see it.
or
Awesome.
you saying
for
unanimously?
me. But
Okay.
it'll be high up there though. I don't know about maybe for all movies, but top 5 for me, absolutely. Go see it. It's good.
Okay.
Wow.
It's good stuff. All right.
We'll have some guest stars on next, right? We're going to interview the actors and actresses of the movie. Can you pull that for us?
That's right. Tune in DevSync episode 3. Gonna have the whole cast. It's gonna be great. All right. Any other closing thoughts? Ended on the hot take.
Ended on it.
Don't trust robots.
That's right. Despite our best efforts, this is still going to be an AI podcast. So tune in for the next one, episode 3, the DevSync.